Hello, my name is Mark, and welcome to Tabletop Reviews, where today I am talking about Zooloretto, as promised. I actually wanted to do distilled because then I would be on topic and stuff, but I decided to do Zooloretto instead because I mentioned it in a previous video, so whatever. But Zooloretto here, let's quickly get it to the table and then we'll talk about it. Alright, let's set up Zooloretto here. It's quite a few elements in it, of course. Here are just all of the rule elements to it. I do kind of want to get them assembled in one, but again, there's a printout. I've mentioned before, I don't like printouts. Alright, so let me get out. See, there's this one expansion, this is another expansion, promo, coins, some more promo items, expansion items. Alright, so just for the simplicity of this, I'm only going to show the setup for one player. But each player will get something along with this, right? A zoo and an extra enclosure here. And then, depending on the amount of players, you put out these trucks. Very lovely looking. So if you have 3 players, you have 3 out. If you're 2 players, 2 out. Well, actually, if you're 2 players, you will have 3 out still. One of them can be filled out, one of them can only have 2, one of them can only have 1. So this is just a shout out to the XXL expansion, which provides you with these. So now you remember it. But that's different use, and of course talk about that in the next one. But let's just put out the trucks here, act as if it's a 3-player game. I sometimes keep them in the bag, sometimes we bring them out. Who knows? Now normally you would actually remove some animal types. At a 5-player game you use all of the animals. At a 4-player game you would remove 1 animal. At a 3-player game you remove 2 types of animals, and a 2-player game you would remove 3 types of animals. But yeah, this is just the show. So yeah, we'll start off with this, and you'll start off with 2 coins here. Now you're ready to begin the game. And you kind of draw out. I'm just trying to see if I can't get hold of a few different bits and pieces, and I think that's a promo thing. Great. Anyways, you'll draw out some, and most of them are going to be just... hold on, I need to find a coin in here. Oh, it's right there. Most of them will be just animals like this. With the right symbol animal showed in the middle. And then you'll kind of choose which truck to place it on. Just place it here. First time it doesn't really matter. Now then, the next players will then have an option. They can draw a new tile, or they can choose the one with an already existing tile on it. But if you choose a truck, you're out for the remainder of the round, and the person to last pick a truck gets to go first next round. So, sort of thing, but at the first you can only draw up. And once you've picked up a card, we'll talk about money actions. Anyways, some of them will have a symbol up here, if it's a boy or a girl, and if you get, one of each in your enclosure, oh, there's actually kangaroos right here in the beginning. If you get like this, one of each in your enclosure, you get a baby. Yay! And you have a little baby. Cool. Then you have these right here. Congression stands. They have little orange squares all over the map here. There's also one here. Those will count for scoring, so it's kind of a good idea to put these in, at different places. Yes. And the last one is money tile. When you get one of these, you get an extra coin. And then this kind of put it aside because it's not used anymore. Those are the tiles, and at the beginning you can draw up one or you can pick a truck. But now let's say this is sort of the setup over here. Now you have money actions. So for 1 money you can remove 1 animal, sort of move it over here or something. Or let's say you had these 2 in your barn, or this one here, because you can only have 1 kind of animal in each. You could pay 1 coin to switch around the types. So now you only have this one in here, but 2 over here to fill out your stand. For 2 coins, you get to discard an animal. So you can get rid of your little jaguar here, for example. And for 3 coins, you get to unlock your last and final enclosure. So there's money actions, these actions. You can also steal or purchase from one of your opponents over here. That's also for 2 coins. So let's say one of your enemies has a kangaroo in his barn over here, so you pay 2. One of them goes to your opponent, the other one goes back to the bank. you get the kangaroo to place. Yeah. Now a few things to note. On your board here, these ones have 2 coins and this one has 1 coin. Once it is filled out, you place the last one, you then get the coin, unless it is a baby that you fill out with. So let's say you had this one and this one, and then you get this one, which means you get a baby. Well, now you don't get the coin. So it would be better to have these in first and this one, because then you would get the extra coin. And of course the same rules with the other enclosure here. It is but 2 coins. Now scoring at the end is incredibly simple. It's simply what's set here. So if you have the entire filled out enclosure, it's the larger number. If you're missing 1 animal, it's the smaller number. And if you're missing 2 or more animals, this is where you need a congression stand. So let's say you had a congression stand here, and these were the only animals you had, right? You don't score these points, but with this one you score 1 point for each animal. So you would score 4 points here, because babies do count in that one. So yeah, you just play out until there is, of course, the end of the game. You have this little red one here, and you would actually draw out 15 of these. I know this is not 15, but just for the show. Of course, I dropped one on the freaking floor. But you kind of have a pile of 15 right here. And the game would end when somebody has to draw out a tile, but the bag is empty. Then they remove this one and pick the top one. And now this is the final round of the game. You play out the round. Once the round is over, the game is done. And scoring commences. Any type of animal in your barn, every type, so these 3 in your barn would only give you -2 points, but every type is -2 points. Every kind of congression stand in your here is -2 points, but also every congression stand out here are +2 points. So yeah. Boy, I think that's all the scoring and all the game rules. I mean, it's actually been a while since I have to explain it, because I don't play it with a lot of new people, unfortunately. I played with mostly the same people, and we all know the rules. So it's been a while since I have to explain the rules. But let's go over some expansion material. So the first one is the XXL expansion. As I said, it provides you with these ones for 2-player games. So you have 1 and then the 1, 2 for 2-player game. So yeah, it also provides you with these. These are other zoos. So basically, when you filled out a zoo enclosure, you can ship it off to another zoo. You can ship it off to New York for 6 points, Paris for 5 points, and all the other ones are 4 points. So it's kind of the first 2 get a little bit extra points. You can do that twice in a game. And they have added more animals. Like it added a couple more from all the kinds of animals, including 1 more breeding pair and 1 more baby. So you can have another baby and all this. Because in the main game there's only 2 breeding pairs. So 2 boys, 2 girls, and 2 babies. They added another boy, another girl, and another baby, and 1 or 2 more of these ones. I can't fully remember how many it was actually. And basically, that's all it adds to the game, which is why it's a brilliant expansion, because it just adds a few more ones and prolongs the game a little bit, but it just keeps the same brilliant game. Okay, the XXL expansion adds this, no, the exotic expansion, I just talked about it. Jesus Christ. Adds these to the board. Let's see how it goes in here. Bam, and it has this here back right here. Okay, so, and there's rules for if you play it with the exotic or with the, what's it called? Yeah, with just the exotic and other expansions. Let's grab one here. Okay, these are out. Let me just grab one of these as well, and I'm just gonna grab one of these. So yeah, it adds, first of all, let's see these, which are exotic animals. And there's the same amount of different exotic animals as animals in the base game, except there's only two of each kind. I believe it's 2 of each kind. Yeah, 2 of each kind. And the rules are the same for, you know, 4, 2, 3, 4, or 5 play games in terms of how many you remove from game. So everybody will start, now I didn't get a green one, but everybody will start with 1 meeple of every color in the middle here. If you play with exotic, again, there's one of them that is, because XXL adds another congression stand. I believe it's the yellow one, I can't fully remember. But that basically, you know, remove the yellow meeples if you're not playing with the XXL expansion with this one. But obviously I am. But basically this means that every time you have a congregation stand, you place it. For example, this one, which is the brown meeple, it will move forward by 2 spaces. So the brown meeple, 1, 2. So all these lookouts is a space. 1, that's 2, and that's 3, and that's 4, that's 5, and an exit. If you were to draw up an exotic animal like this one and place it in your zoo, you then get to choose one of the meeples to move forward, and then your opponents move that meeple backwards. Everyone they have of that color backwards 1 space. So yeah, if I, for example, in this example, pick the brown one to move forward, because that would be 1 and 2, and now he's out. And I would then get this one. And basically what this means is that I get +2 points for every single brown meeple I have in my zoo at the end of the game. Other than that, it's 2 points for every different color. So go back and forth then, and most of you are probably going to very quickly focus on meeples to get in and stuff. But that's basically it. You can only have 3 different exotic animals in your zoo at all times. So now I have 1 down here. Oh boy. So that's exotic animal. These expansions have that in common, that they're very simple, very lovely, very nice. Alright, let's talk about some promo material here. This is where the real money is at. Alright. Let's take the first bag of promotional materials here. Bam. I'm actually going to find the rules for the buildings, because I hate the buildings. Okay, oh, I can actually mention this one first. So these are kind of in the way things. This one is for the barn specifically, to just give you -2 points. We can put some, and there's some that match the congressional stand, some that match in here. Basically renders that space unable to be used, but as empty. So at the end of the game, if I had this one in, but you know, filled out here, I would only get the 6 points and not the 10 points before I removed it. But of course I can't place this here because it's green. But yeah, you can, of course, as I say, you can discard them at all times. So those are just in it. Yeah. So there's also, so the first one of these 3 additional buildings, and the last one here. So yeah, they cost some money. As you can see, these pavilions belong in here. These ones, this one can only fit over here. This one can kind of fit in wherever it needs to be. Yeah, and these are vending stalls. They count as one type. They score 2 points, just like regular. This one just scores 2 points as regular. And this one, the souvenir shop, when you get an offspring, you get this one as well. And you place it in your barn. Well, no, in a stall space here, and you have a little extra 1. And that means that you score an extra point for every offspring that you have. So that's a little offspring scoring, and you want to focus on that, but your opponents, of course, know you want to focus on that. By the way, these 2 cost 3 coins. That's sort of the symbol at the top here. It's 3 coins to play it. But these 2 are the pavilions. This is the restaurant. As I said, it's 3 coins to get it in. It scores 2 points. And yeah, but this, as I said, the restaurant, 3 coins, placed in here. It scores 2 points, and every other scores 2 points, even if they're the same. But in regular game, it's only if they're different. This one scores an extra point for every offspring in the pavilions. Again, costs 3 coins. And it goes in here and fills up the enclosure. Alright, so as you might notice by this fact that I just picked up the rulebooks to read that, we don't play with these expansions, this promo, that often. Now let's get into something. So, these right here, I can't remember what they're called, whatever, job boards I think they're called. But basically you shuffle them up and place them out. And then you score some bonus points based on the animals. So first of all, the camel in this one, for example, don't score your minus. It scores 0 if it's in your barn. So it's advantageous for you to have the camel in your barn. Then you have +2 and +3 at the zebra and the pandas, and that's some extra scoring. Now comes the problem in me not remembering the freaking scoring for those. Right. It's +3 and +2 for each full enclosure with these animals. I just need to remember that. So if you notice, this one was full of pandas, this one was full of zebras and had some camels in here. They would be 0 points, +2, +3. Or other way around. I already forgot how to put it in. Those are job boards, and we usually play with these ones. They're good, they change up the game. It usually means that people won't focus overly on the same ones. I mean, obviously there's, this one has, both of them have zebras and camels. But you see here, there's pandas and stuff. There's a little bit of fighting over it, because there are some animals that go again. But it basically means that people are going to focus on the game a little bit differently. Just making it a little bit more fun, a little bit more competitive. Maybe what's it called? I don't remember. Whatever. There's always a mess on my table. I'm not done yet. All right. Then we have these ones that I remember very good. All right. So first of all, you have a few extra enclosures here. Okay, I'm just split them up because there's 2 of them. You have these ones, which cost 2 coins to get it in. Room for 2, and it has to be elephants or flamingos or zebras. And then you get 3 points or 2 points. So basically it's 2 coins to get some guaranteed points here, and you usually pay them if you have enough of the kind, right? And the other one is one that every player gets at the beginning of the game, which is a baby enclosure. Basically you put it on the side, and whenever you get a baby like this one, you place it over here, instead of taking up room in here, so you can still get that coin bonus that I talked about, right? So it doesn't fill it out there. And the first one you place gives you 1 coin, the second one gives you 2 points. Mix this with the XXL expansion, you can empty it out and then fill it in again. Like, that's a coin freaking machine, which is a good thing. I'll talk about that in the overview, but coins, that's a freaking thing. Alright, and then we have 2 more things here. Oh god, what is it these are called? It's like a convoluted name. What is it? Where is their name at? Oh, I'm going to butcher the pronunciation, so just give it to me straight, okay? Oh, here it is. Familiarization area. The rules right there. Familiarization area. It's a complete butcher. So it kind of fits up in this one, but I believe it's supposed to primarily go with Zooloretto Boss, which is an expansion that I don't have currently. But basically, the first animal, instead of putting it in your barn, you can put it up there. Bam. And then you go to score minus points for it. And it's also way easier to switch around in familiarization area to familiarization area of your opponent. Fucking hell. It only costs you 1 point rather than 2 from the barn. And then again, for 1 coin, you can then pull it in here, right? And then you have the coin booster. Basically, you put a coin in here, and then in each round it goes down. So second round, third round, fourth round, and it comes out, and you get 2 coins. So it is, after 4 or so rounds, it is going to give you an extra coin. It's usually on the board for us, but yeah, everybody starts with one of these. They're usually on the board for us to see how much they're being used. And then the biggest one I have right here. Oh boy, there is quite a few of these ones. They all do a different ability, but they're earned in the same way. But as you see here, a bunch of different ones: square animals, polar bear, this thing I can't remember what is it called. A Kia, I think, a Christmas present, gorilla, this thing, and I think this is a kata. I can never remember. Basically, they're sat on the side of the table, and once you fill out this one, the big one, the 2, 4, 6 squares, once that is filled out, you get to choose one. You kind of put it on the side here, and it has some kind of ability. So these 2 has a coin, because you have to pay a coin to get it, and then only one. This symbol is kind of, you pay a coin, but you can pay as many as you want. Polar bear and Christmas present, and this one just have ongoing awards. I can't remember Christmas present because obviously we don't play with it. It's Christmas. Anyways, these two on the front because they're my favorites. This polar bear halves the minus points from these ones, and the kata. Oh God, is it the right one or is it the kata? Yeah, they all have a bunch of different abilities. I could read them up for you. Here, polar bear. Player of the old bear enclosure loses half the normal points for the tile he has in the bottom of the game. As I said, kata. Play in the game. He immediately places 3 coins from the bank on it. The kata enclosure remains with the player until the end of the game. The player may place no other tiles in the kata enclosure. If it is the owner's turn, he can skip his turn but has to pay 1 coin from the enclosure to the bank. If there's no coins left on the enclosure, he cannot skip his turn. If at least 1 coin is left on the enclosure by the end of the game, the player gets 1 additional point. So yeah, it basically means you can skip your turn, and it's fine. The key... he takes it from the key enclosure members. The player may place no other tiles in the key enclosure. The owner of the key enclosure may give away 1 coin to any other player as an action if he additionally places 1 coin on the key enclosure. And at the end of the game, the owner of the key enclosure scores 1 point per coin that is present. So that was this one, the key. Place 1 coin on it and you get a point. Then we have this one, the gorilla, is one of the first ones I got anyways. Once during the rest of the game, the player may place a drawn tile, even a coin tile, directly in his zoo, enclosure or barn, instead of on a delivery truck. To mark this action, he puts 1 of the coins on the gorilla enclosure. He may only do this once in the game. The coin remains there until the end of the game. It is not involved in scoring. So basically you can just place a tile for 1 coin. Don't know how good that is. As I said, to peer. If it's the owner's turn, he can pay 1 coin to exchange all tiles of 1 animal type from his barn with all tiles of 1 animal type from another player's barn as an additional action before or after his usual action. This is possible only once in the game. The player puts the coin on the TP enclosure and it remains there until the end of the game. And scoring a coin on the TP enclosure is not considered during scoring. So that was quickly going over those. The Christmas present I have over here. If the player chooses the action discard a tile, for 2 coins as I said, the tile has to be placed on the Christmas gift enclosure and remains there until the end of the game ends. No remodel action allowed. Multiple tiles have to be stacked. At the end of the game, the owner of the Christmas gift enclosure scores 1 point per tile that is present there. So if you discard one, you place it on the Christmas present. We will play only with it during Christmas just for the fun, but it's obviously also a pretty good tile. Well, yeah, I don't know what I think about these ones anyways. Am I done? I'm done. Okay, let's get back up and talk about it. This is a freaking long overview. Alright, that's probably one of the longest overviews I've had. Challenged by Endless Winter, I believe. So I actually have a little note block here just to remember all the things in here. Because there's a lot of things in here, obviously. As you saw, I don't remember all the rules for all of it. That's just me. I mean, it's simple enough, it's just me. Anyways, let's talk about gameplay. So first of all, this is the base game, Zooloretto. Well, spoiler alert, I love this game. Absolutely love it. And the gameplay of this one is, I love it because it's so simple. Just drafting up some tiles to get into a zoo to fill out just as much as possible. But I just love how the simple concept still have some room for some thinking and some tactical decisions, right? I'm not gonna pretend it's going to be the most heavy game ever or anything, but there is room for you to think a little bit. And when you draw up a zebra, well, where are you, a zebra, whatever, where are you going to place it? Are you going to place it with the coin, the jack? Where are you going to place it for yourself? There's always a decision. Well, except for the first round or 2, where you draw some tiles. There isn't really a decision there, right? But then you come into decisions. Where do you place it? Well, coins is sort of a rarity. I will spoil that. It's maybe something I point out is that coins are a rarity, but I don't think it's a bad thing. It's whatever. So where do we place that? And later rounds, what do your opponents have? There's so much room for these decisions
for such a simple game. I love that. I absolutely love that. The scoring is brilliant and simple. Also love that. Like, a lot of times I recently played Bunny Kingdom, actually. We'll get around to that, reviewing that game. The fucking scoring in that game, Jesus Christ. This one's lovely and simple. You have the points for the enclosures, and then you got a little minus points for the animals you don't have enclosures, of course. Makes sense. And yeah, all the actions just make sense in terms of it. Well, almost. I mean, discarding a card of an animal from your zoo. I don't know how realistic that is, but then again, at some point, zoos need to get rid of some animals. That's just what happens, especially if they're in your barn. So it's so lovely and simplistic, but still has some depth to it, and then you can think about it. It's just absolutely amazing gameplay. Talking about XXL, because it just adds to the game. It adds the outside zoos, a few more animals, and the outside zoos just prolong the game a little bit, which is not a bad thing here. I love it. It just makes coins more available, which I love. Because as I say, in the original Zooloretto, in the personal Zooloretto, coins are sort of a rarity. It's hard to come by a proper amount of coins, unfortunately. Oh boy. And XXL changed that, and which is why I love it. I mean, the coins is not a problem for me. I just prefer it with XXL, where you have more access to coins. Simple as that. Which is of course also why petting zoo is absolutely amazing. Just a room for your animals. Normally, I like the thing where, like, if you fill it out with an animal, normally you don't get the coins, which is an interesting thing again for tactical choices. With petting zoo, you have 2 chances to do it. And combining with XXL, we usually play with the fact that you can remove those animals from there if you want to and get the coins again, right? And as far as I understand, you can do that, but I should probably check the website to see if you can actually do it. But I don't. We play with that. I don't care what the real rules are. So yeah, and the job boards, I think they just add something brilliant, some secretive information, just to bring in, I can't remember what's it called. I don't think I put in the overview either. What the hell is it called? I can't remember. Whatever. Asymmetry there was. Just to bring in a little bit asymmetry in your choices, in what you want to do, in your extra scoring. And usually it's sort of not the same, right? It's not completely the same, but usually it's different animals. And you kind of think, like, what animals do you have? I mean, you don't care about putting monkeys in your barn, so maybe you don't get minus points from your monkeys. Interesting. So again, taking this simple premise, it's sort of like Ticket to Ride, right? Except this reduces expansions, where you take this very simple premise and you add just a few layers to it with expansions. This one, just do it with some promos, very simple promos, adding just that little bit of depth to it. And familiarization area. I can't pronounce that. I like it as well. It's sort of an escape from a minus point at some point, right? And it's a good way of changing in between each other. So you can kind of put in either collaboration or annoyance towards each other by sort of doing that. But then again, I think that's also a little bit thematic, right? Yeah, I'll talk about the theme later on, but the fact that you can take some from your opponent's barns or in your familiarization area, you can swap around. Zoos collaborate with each other to make sure the animals have a good place. Thematic. But I should probably talk about the other expansion I have, Exotic. So the Exotic expansion took me a little while to get it played, because reading rules, I was a little bit confused by them. I was a little bit confused by the rules. But then when you got to play, it's again quite simple. You have these meeples that you move around. It's very interesting that when you pull up something special, you move these meeples around and you score some extra points from the meeples you want to get those going through. It does, you know, mixed with the 3 additional buildings, of course, where you score for one of the building. Which one is it? I can't remember which one it is. But one of the building, of course, allows you to score for all of your congression stands, while it's normally you only score for different ones. So mixing Exotic and that one is a brilliant move, because then you can get that, and one of you can get that one in and score highly on it. But of course, then again, you're sitting there thinking, well, that's only one of you. So, but I think it works really well, Exotic, in moving your things. And again, it's sacrificing points from your congression stands to then get points from your meeples. So that's sort of something that drags it down for me, that you have to sacrifice some points one place to gain them in another place and see which one can you get the most for. which is why I like to add 3 additional buildings with that one, because then you can mitigate that. But it's only one of you that can do that, because I don't think it's the pavilions. It's not the pavilions. I know it's not. I believe it's the restaurant. Whatever. So that's sort of an annoying thing about that one, right? But other than that, I like it. The exotic animals is a lovely touch. Some new animals to it, changing up a little bit. Very awesome. And yeah, I think the gameplay of it is very nice. Just don't like the fact that you are removing scoring options to get a new scoring option. You should just add a new scoring option so I get higher scores, right? But that's not what happens there. Well, anyways, talking about 3 additional buildings, I do like it. I mean, they're a fine addition. They're a little bit, some of them are a little bit expensive, but they do give you quite some nice things, obviously. For what they do, the babies ones, the enclosure ones, and the restaurant, they're just nice additions to it. Changing it a little bit around with those ones. They're fine. I think that's how I can describe it. I like them. Mixed with exotic, they make a little bit more sense. Mixed with the petting zoo, again, that's what is amazing about all the promos is you can look how they mix really well together, right? It's completely amazing. Another one, savings book, another promo where you add one and then after 4 rounds or so you get an extra additional coin. That's just not worth it. You are sacrificing 1 coin for 4 rounds. That can be a lot. So these ones, this is probably the biggest meh for me on the savings book. We usually play with it, but we don't very often use it, just because it doesn't make a lot of sense in a lot of situations. So yeah, that's a very big meh for me on that one. It's a good idea. It's just maybe shorter. Maybe it should be 3 rounds only, or only 2 or something. I don't know. 3 extra enclosures. I like this one. Again, I like this one, an enclosure specifically for one type of animal, which is good if you have multiple of that kind of animal. You can quickly place them in there. I think maybe it should be bigger. They only have room for 2, of course. Maybe it should have room for 3. I don't know. And also, the fact is that there's only 3, but there's like 5 or 6 different animals. So you're sitting there like, okay, well, I don't have all of the animals, which is annoying. I've tried looking around and I can't find some with extra enclosures for the remaining animals, which is very annoying. Maybe you haven't found it yet, but that's very annoying. That's bad. But otherwise, I like it. Again, if you have some of those, you can spend some money to get more access to them because you are getting a lot of them. So it's these small things and promos they do, right? Adding to this one. And last of the promos, of these different promos before we get into these ones, the building sites. Some take that to it, obviously, getting in the way and even scoring minus points if you have multiple in it. It's fine by me, honestly. It's a fun little addition. I think one of the biggest complaints is that it still costs you 2 coins to discard. If it costed 1 coin to discard them, that would be better, but it still costs 2. And that's where the biggest complaint is, because that's expensive. So that's very much a nagging thing you're doing to your opponent. If it only costs 1 coin, I would be more inclined to say it's a better little promo. But as it is, because it costs 2 coins, it's not the greatest promo ever. But it's a little bit of fun, take that. If you like a little bit of fun, take that. This is a good little promo for that. Of course, not everybody likes it, but I do sort of like it. Anyways, all of these one animal things. So the overall thing is, I actually really do like the idea of this one. You fill in that enclosure, you get a little bit extra thing. Definitely polar bear and the Christmas gift, and the Christmas gift is the best ones for me with what they do. What they have, kata and the Kea and the gorilla and the tapir and the Tierpark Hagenbeck, which I didn't talk about because it's a cut-out thing. But all of those sort of rang in the same one, where it's like their abilities are fine. And the kata with skipping your turn is you are only going to do it twice, because then you have 1 point at the end, right? That's good. So you're only going to do it twice, which is like, okay, it's an interesting thing to use, but it's also kind of limited, and it's not that powerful for it to be that limited. The Kea that gives a coin. Giving a coin to your opponent and placing a coin. Again, it's as far as I understand it, at least, it's 2 coins from your own, right? If it was giving a coin to an opponent and getting to place one just from the bank, then that would be way better, because then at that point you are what's it called? You're only giving 1 coin. But if you're giving 2 points, as far as I understand, 2 coins to 1 point, that's not very powerful for the price. And then you have both the tapir and the gorilla, which has one-time events. But they're just not that powerful that you think, why are they only one time, right? Like the gorilla, where you can place a tile you've just drawn right into your zoo. It's sort of powerful, but I don't see it's once per game powerful. The tapir, it's the United Exchange action again, but this time barn to barn, which again, it's not that powerful for me to say why is it only once per game. That's, yeah. The Tierpark Hagenbeck is also interesting. So basically, you pay 2 coins, and you can have 2 animals in one enclosure. 2 types of animals in one enclosure. So you can pandas and elephants. One exception is the leopard. They can never be with anyone, but you can do this to 1 enclosure and 1 enclosure only. So you'll probably do it to your 6 enclosure or whatever. And again, place that, and then it's only 1 enclosure once per game, and you pay 2 to do it. It could be okay depending on how the game goes, but that's very dependent on the game. In a lot of games that I've had, I don't see it being that useful. So again, these ones, they're just either they're too expensive for what they do, or like why are they only usable once? They're not that good, powerful, right? Because they're simple enough power abilities, except for like the Christmas gift and the polar bear, and they're like really good. You want those. So, well, they're not really good, they're good, right? They're all good actually, but there's something just becomes too expensive to do it again and again. And that's where the Christmas gift comes in. It's discarding a tile which you might do throughout the game, and you get it here, so it just adds to the gameplay already. And the polar bear was halves the minus points you get from the barn, which is a really good one. That could be a couple of points less, right? It's not super powerful, but it's good. And, as well as the kata, it can be very useful to sort of skip your turn. At least you can do this 3 times, but you're only going to do it twice because then you get that extra point, and that good it is not. That's sort of and the Kia again, as I said, if you give 1 coin only and then in, that's way different. That's again, I feel like that's on par. But yeah. So that's sort of my opinion. Anyways, theme. I've talked a little bit about theme. Let me continue talking about theme. I love the theme of this one, obviously. Building a zoo, it's animals. But the most important thing about the theme here is the fact that, like, so many of the things here, right? Like the familiarization area, the savings books, sort of thematic as well. They're all very thematic and make sense both for the gameplay and for the theme, I think. It very shines through that you are having a zoo and there's some competition, but also some collaboration throughout the game. It makes so much sense for me, and it's super awesome theme. I mean, I can't say much more about theme. Components, well, it's cardboard. Most of it is just cardboard cutouts and stuff, but they are really good cardboard. It's good quality cardboard. It hasn't broken. There's not snippets of it that's been ripped off or anything. It fits together and it's very nice. The coins are good, thick wooden coins. The trucks do not look like trucks at all, but they do give the thing that, like, you have 3 spaces to place it. And in the expansion, everything it like clicks in. You know, the exotic expansion clicked in, and the familiarization area clicked in. Of course, I want to see the boss, because the familiarization area sort of fits together with the boss expansion that there is to a boss. I need to get a hold of that one to see how that works together, because it seems like it would. So I mean, all components are really good, nice ones. I mean, they're not brilliant, they're not amazing luxury components that we're used to nowadays, that like for creature comforts or flamecraft that you can get these very nice thick wooden screen printed ones. They're not that They are 2007 components, but they're really good 2007 components. The artwork is amazing. I love the artwork in this one because it's simple, and you know exactly what the animal is, and at the same time I just find it to very nice, very beautiful artwork, very nice artwork. Looking at the time, I've been talking for a long time now. Yeah, I can go on and on about this game. I'm trying to be fast here. Anyways, next up. Does it lie to you? That's what's the next thing. Okay, let me see. Where does it say it? Where does it say? What does it say? I'm trying not to tip this one over on the side. Let me see. 2 to 5 players, 8 and up, 45 minutes. 45 minutes, fairly accurate for the base game. And also, it becomes more long with the promos, of course, because there's a lot of things to keep track of. 8 and up, I can see that. For the base game, I probably wouldn't play that low with all these promos in it, but it makes sense. And 2 to 5, 100%. It works amazingly at all player counts, especially with XXL expansion, those extra truck pieces I showed you. Way better than the normal rules. Brilliant at 2, 3, 4, 5 players. Absolutely amazing. I would happily play this at all player counts. 100%. So, final bit. What are my scores? Well, my scores for Zooloretto is a 10 out of 10. It is my absolutely favorite game of all time, Zooloretto. 100%. So let me just quickly go through. Zooloretto, 10 out of 10. I have struggles finding flaws with it. XXL is an expansion that does exactly what I need an expansion to do. Just making the game so much better. 10 out of 10. Exotic is at an 8 out of 10. I think the rules are a little bit too convoluted and you don't do enough with it in like most games. You are not going to get to move that much in most games and score that many more points. So I'm gonna give it an 8 just because it's good. I like it. I will play with it happily. Just doesn't add as much as I would have hoped. The familiarization area, 10 out of 10. I mean, might as well just play with it because it's brilliant. There's nothing wrong with having it. It's the barn, except you don't get minus points. But of course, I only have 1 in it anyways. Job boards, 10 out of 10. Adding a little bit of mystery, a little bit of deduction, like what are you going for, what are you going for. Again, just adding to the gameplay. Absolutely brilliant, 10 out of 10. The petting zoo, amazing. You all start with the petting zoo, you can have them there. They're less in the way of your freaking, and it makes again thematic sense, very thematic to have a petting zoo. 10 out of 10. Savings book. This is the lowest rated one at a 5 out of 10 because I'm so meh on it. I've used it a few times just to use it, but it's so meh. It doesn't do enough. 3 additional buildings. I think they're a little bit more like if you combine them with other promos, they're way better. But if it's just the base game, they're a little bit boring, a little bit. So it's going to be only a 7 out of 10 for me. 3 extra enclosures, an 8 out of 10. And I think the biggest thing that drags it down is the fact that, first of all, there's only 2 spaces. 3 would have been brilliant, 4 even better. And the fact that it's not all animals, it's only 3 of them. That's dragging it down. Building sites, I'm going to give an 8 out of 10. I'm thinking, I thought about 7, but I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I'm feeling an 8 out of 10. I do like a little bit of take that. It's just a little bit of fun, teasing, take that. I like that. But as I said, it may be a little bit of a harsh punishment, the way it's dragging it down. And it is still take that, which is always going to drag it down. So of those other little things on the side, the overall rating I would give those is a 9. But I give them all individual. The polar bear is, for me, my favorite. It's a 10 out of 10. It's brilliant. Get a hold of that one. The Christmas gift is also a 10 out of 10. Because it's something you might do a little bit anyways. Might you do it more now that you have this one? Absolutely 10 out of 10, just adding. And everyone else is an 8 out of 10. And they have the same reason. I just don't feel like the price for the action and the action itself, what it gives you, match. They all have that in common, that they're sort of too expensive for what they do. Or they can only be used once, which is like, when do you use it then? Which is what is dragging all of them down to an 8 out of 10 for me. So that's Zooloretto. Fun fact, I have recently won an auction, a charity auction I want to have, for Zooloretto and Zooloretto Duel. I love Zooloretto. It is my absolute favorite game of all time. It has been for a while now. I've only had it for a year, but it's just grown on me. It's in my heart and I love it to bits. My favorite Spiel des Jahres winner and everything about that. Really love Zooloretto. So obviously I'm keeping it, and I'm keeping all of the Zooloretto things. I want everything. Man, thank you so much for watching another episode here. It's another long one, sorry about that, but I will see you in the next episode. Bye!